Hey everybody, Candy Girl here with my 2 cents on Willie D Live being shut down. Now, for those who are not familiar with Willie D Live, he was a former hip hop artist and now turned activist. He goes on YouTube and talks about modern day racism, things that are still happening, just to illustrate for people who are skeptical that racism is alive and well. And he does put in his commentary on the situation and all that kind of stuff. So apparently his beloved commentary done got him shut down. He had an excess of YouTube community policy violations within a 3-month period, which then caused his channel to be permanently shut down. He said that he had been struggling with YouTube for a long time, with them flagging his videos, taking them down, demonetizing them, and then he appeals the decision. It successfully appeals. Some of them are sustained, but for the most part he's been able to keep his channel up and running, and now, you know, this is where the rubber just hits the road. So he was basically saying that YouTube has censored blacks and liberals alike, and he's had enough. He said that because of them shutting down his channel, they have now interfered with his business relationships that he has gained as a result of his vast audience on YouTube. And he also argued that Google only, of Google's entire workforce, only like 2.4% of them are African American. And one thing that stood out to me, which he later on reiterated as well, is that America is at least 14% African American. So your workforce should also be approximately 10 to 14% African American. And for it to only be 2.4% does indicate that they have a lack of diversity and they really don't try to diversify their workforce. That leads to a huge disparity in how they enforce the YouTube policies and procedures, because if the majority of your waking hours are spent at work and it's a majority white or maybe even a majority white and Asian workforce, that does not create an environment where people can learn off of one another. They cannot learn about the black experience, where people are truly trying to come from. Things can be misinterpreted because of the fact that you're not surrounded by a diverse group of people. So I think that that is demonstrative of the lack of knowledge that people may have to the black experience when you surround yourself with people who look like you. You really can't learn about the world when you're only surrounded with people who look, think, and act like you, in a societal kind of sense. So also it kind of shows that they're not really trying that hard to diversify their workforce, which may indicate some kind of animus against blacks in their hiring. I'm sure that they have plenty of applicants. This is Google, okay? And I'm sure that YouTube has gotten plenty of applications from African Americans, but the fact that you're only employing your employment pool is only 2.4% African American is very telling on exactly how much you're trying to increase diversity in your workforce. Nonetheless, what they're saying is that YouTube is censoring blacks and liberals more than they do whites and conservatives. I don't know about that. I know from personal experience that a friend of mine who's a YouTuber and a heavy supporter of my channel had to shut his channel down. It was shut down. Matter of fact, it was shut down by Google/YouTube because of a monetization policy violation. And it only took one time for them to shut him down. Now, he is also saying that it's not just blacks, but it's also liberals. So in other words, when you challenge this white supremacist institution, which we call America, and you are truly trying to call out a system of oppression, those people are censored much more than those who are pro status quo. Let's put it like that. So with that being said, I think that they have a very high mountain to climb with this battle. First of all, they're trying to get YouTube to be considered a place of public accommodation, which is therefore subject to anti-discrimination laws. So let's break that down just a little bit. If I were to come to your home and I said, I don't really like how you running things up in here. I don't appreciate the rules and regulations that you have on the things that I can say. I'm an American citizen. I got a First Amendment right. I can come up in your house and say whatever I want to. I bet you that you will not have not one leg to stand on, and that is because that is their house. And so that's probably what YouTube is going to say. This is our house, our website, our platform. You want to come here and make videos, you got rules and regulations that you have to fall in line with. While that may be true, the law actually says that if you are a place of public accommodation, you therefore cannot discriminate against people or create rules and regulations that are enforced against certain groups but not towards others that are violating the same policy. So what makes something a place of public accommodation is a place that is open to the public for the public use, consumption, enjoyment, and benefit. These things can go and range anywhere from a private hospital all the way down to an entertainment venue. You can also consider stores to be places of public accommodation. For the most part, they're open to the public unless you don't have your shirt, shoes, or if you don't have a shirt or shoes, you get no service. But for the most part, it's open to the public. I would argue and I would agree that this is a place of public accommodation because you don't see people going to the library to get information and to share information nowadays. What people usually are doing is they're going online and they're Googling things, searching for them on the internet and looking to see what websites offer the wealth of information that they're looking for. Same thing will go for YouTube. Some people just don't want to read, and although I don't agree with that, more power to you. So if you don't want to read, you can go on YouTube, and that is the leading source of video streaming that has a kind of integrated platform of lots of different videos that you can upload and share with the public. And it's a source of not only entertainment, but also of information. And so if an entertainment venue such as a club or even like a bar or pub, that's a source of entertainment, so is YouTube. A library, a bookstore, that's a place of public accommodation, and therefore so should YouTube, because this is now our modern day age bookstore or library. So that should be considered a place of public accommodation, and it should be available for all people of all walks of life, of all opinions, to share information. And therefore, just as much as I don't like the KKK, they should be allowed to go on there and talk about white power just as much as the Black Panther goes on there and they talk about black power. As long as you're not using hate speech, if you're not using racial slurs or gender-based slurs or anything like that, if you're not offending people who are different than you and sharing and promoting bigoted behaviors and views, I don't see anything wrong with that. Just because you disagree with something or think that it's offensive, that does not make it unlawful. And that goes both ways. And so with YouTube, I feel like they should be honoring that in even things that they don't necessarily agree with. It should go without saying that, you should be forwarding the same policies and enforcing it against everyone equally. So that is what they're going to have to prove here. And I don't know if that is actually the case with YouTube. And that's my point here, is I don't know if I can really point to a YouTuber who is white or conservative that uses racial slurs against their own people or others, and gets away with it, you know, and that's what they're going to have to prove if they're saying that this is a discriminatory practice. You're going to have to show that someone has done the exact same thing as him, but just to the reverse group, and nothing has happened to them. And I don't necessarily think that that's the easiest thing to prove. So much luck goes out to Willie D. Much love goes out to him. I sympathize with him, because when I put out videos, you would be amazed at the type of comments that I get. And I'm talking from whites and blacks. People are so ignorant and so hateful. And you know what I do? I turn the other cheek, I block them, and I keep it moving. And if people are so offended by what Willie D is saying, move on. There's a button that you can push that says not interested, and keep it moving. But I think that there's some trolls out there that just want to target him and get him off the air because it's challenging their system of white supremacy. And so in order to combat that, they use their white supremacy to objectively suppress his language. This is one of the biggest platforms of video and information sharing worldwide, and they are trying to limit that by getting a predominantly white company to block him. And like I said in other videos, you know, if you're in a majority white workforce and there's 13% of our population are people of color, but you only employ 2.6% of your workforce is only minorities, then there's an issue there, because you're really not getting the experience working with other people of color that can help you understand where people are truly coming from. If you're in a closed-minded world and you hear something that's super liberal and super, you know, thought-provoking and very strong, unless you can have someone that you can come to and be like, what does this mean? And what is the experience been like? How do I understand this? You are going to interpret it in the worst light possible. And so I think that that's what's happening here. Google doesn't even have a 3% of its workforce being minorities. So their view is very limited. And the information that they have is very limited. So anyways, y'all let me know what you think about the situation in the comments, and be respectful, y'all. And I'll check with y'all later on. Until next time, love and blessings.